as we get ready for the big game tonight. England, 8 o'clock kick-off against Slovenia. Euro 2024 is well and truly underway, and of course we keep an eye on the pitch. But as I was just saying to my next guest, I was watching the game last night, Italy against Croatia. What a game that ended up being, my goodness. There are various people who are at the centre of the action, and it's not the players, it's the team of officials making sure everyone plays fairly. And while most kids dream of being the next Harry Kane or Beth Mead, one young woman from Didcot is making a progress to becoming a top referee. That person is Immy. Hello to you, Immy.
Hi there.
Do you know what? I was watching that game last night, but I've watched so many games of football, and you played football, but refereeing, why decide that? Sometimes it doesn't matter whether it's you're from Didcot, so a park in Didcot, or at the World Cup. It feels like sometimes a thankless task. Yeah,
absolutely. So my brother's game started off really naturally. So my brother's game was after a referee, and I was like, yeah, do you know what? Give it a go, might as well. And I sort of fell in love with it straight away. I just had a connection with it, and then went and did my referees course, and then got selected for a talent programme of female only referees, and it's just gone on leaps and bounds from there.
The thing is about a referee, be it, you obviously have to start somewhere, and you probably do start at those games on a Sunday morning or whatever, and then hopefully aim for being at the World Cup. But there's quite a lot to learn, isn't there? And I imagine an awful lot of courses. So where do you start? If you want to say, I want to be a referee, where do you go first?
So you have to go on a waiting list. So you'll be quite surprised the waiting list for sort of referees courses can be quite lengthy. I think I sort of waited around 6 months to go on mine when I was 14. And then you have like 2 separate days, an exam to do, and then you have to go off and do 5 games before you're qualified. And then from there on, you have to go and select what promotion pathways you want to go down. And that involves sort of fitness testing, laws of the game exams, general knowledge about the league that you want to ref. So there's quite a few aspects they take into consideration when going for sort of promotions in different levels.
Yeah, because what I'm always intrigued about when it comes to refereeing is I understand you might want to learn about the offside rule or various things going on, but it's also handling players, because that's a really tricky thing, isn't it? Because they may not feel that was a foul or that was a throw-in. How do you deal with that? What sort of lessons do they give you for looking after you and making sure your authority is stamped?
I think for that, it's just personal preference from for yourself as a referee. I mean, for myself, I like to talk to the players. I like to get on well with them. Sort of, if there's been an incident, I like to go over to them, explain why I've done this. And 9 times out of 10, they'll accept that. I say, this is what I've seen, this is what I'm going with, this is what's happening. And 9 times out of 10, the players will respect you for you coming over to them, rather than just saying foul and just moving on from the event. If they're aware of what's happened, what they've done wrong, then the standard of football throughout the rest of the game is going to be a lot better, because they know, that happened over there, better not do that again. And it just brings more enjoyment to everyone on the pitch. Me working as a team of officials, as well as the 2 teams on the pitch, the managers, spectators, everyone's going to have a much better game.
Okay, that's do you know what? It sounds really refreshing to hear that. But let's go back to the olden days when you were playing football. What was your view of referees that sort of stage?
At times, if I felt as though something weren't going my way, of course you're not gonna want to be their best of mates. But I think with the time and development of referees, the more progress and time that's been going into them now, I think there's a higher amount of respect.
And looking at whether it's the referee in Leipzig last night for the Italy game, or ones that you've done perhaps I don't know, as the same around Didcot or wherever you referee, how do you deal with not just the players but the people around the pitch? Because be it a parent, be it a trainer, be it whatever, they can get quite nasty as well.
I've seen it happen. So sort of the best thing you can do is just stay calm. At times it can be one of the hardest things to do, is stay calm in a situation, but your job as a referee is to focus what's going on inside the pitch. Don't worry about what's happening on the outside. Sort of control the controllables. You can control a manager, but you can't control a spectator.
And do you ever worry about your safety?
At times, yes. But I think that's the same with all referees. There's a certain sort of outlook on referees, not very likeable characters when it's generalised. But you've just got to remember you're going there to do your job, and if you do everything you can to make the game safe, then you're doing your job properly.
And experience, obviously you're learning all sorts of things and you need to get experience. So you've been to Croatia, is that right?
Yes. So I went to Croatia back in sort of the end of March, early April. So I went there, got selected, went with a few people in my talent programme, and we spent a week out there. I refereed and assistant refereed 25 games across 3 days.
Wow. So that really is good, because you do that sort of across that could be 6 months worth of football if you did that once a week. So suddenly you got sort of that experience straight away.
Yeah, so it was completely different refereeing in sort of Croatia compared to in England. Sort of the language barrier was the sort of main issue. Obviously you can't go up to a player and just have a conversation with them. You've got to sort of do actions, tell them what they've done wrong. So you have to do like massive like crossing hand signal and pulling your shirt. No. You've got to keep everything really basic. You can't go into depth. I think another massive thing as well, football abroad, everything's sort of given a yellow card. They want yellow cards for everything. Whereas in this country, if we gave yellow cards for everything, we wouldn't be popular.
No, you wouldn't have many players on the pitch.
Definitely wouldn't.
That's quite it. There's 4 of you left on the pitch. Just a couple of goalkeepers, you and a random bloke running around. All right, so looking at the the memorable moments, I mean, because actually refereeing must be so much. Obviously, there's a language thing, but is it different? The way you play, everything about it is different when you're refereeing abroad.
Yeah, no, everything is different. Sort of the intensity is so much higher. They want to win every single ball. I remember I literally non-stop from about 9 a.m. till about 7 p.m. at night. I was on the go. But yeah, no, I absolutely loved it, and I'd do anything to have that experience again.
And as a referee, young, old, male, female, who are the worst when it comes to dealing with you and the way they react to you?
So what do you mean, like players?
Players, or because I wonder if players, is it the young players that are the worst, the older players, the male players, the female players? Who give you the hardest time when it comes to your decisions?
I think that for me personally, females give me the most issues. Yeah. Women in general, when I'm refereeing men's games, I love doing men's football. I probably go out there and have the best sort of performance and the best time. Women's football, it's very different to men's in the way they want different fouls, they want different calls, they have different contact points. So it's just the constant adjustment that I myself need to make as the referee to sort of work out where they want their intensity level at. But women are always on the call for stuff. And
what is the ultimate goal when it comes to football? You watch the World Cup, so is that where you'd like, you've got a World Cup down the line, you go, right, I'm going to do that in 2032 or whatever?
Yeah, so that is my ultimate goal, is to referee a Euros or a World Cup. This morning I had my 3-2W promotion pool come through, so that's been a lot of hard work that I've put in this season. So 300 referees were put into a group, only 40 of us got selected. So to be 18 and selected into that 40 group, 40 people referee in the country is really good.
Final one, because when it comes to referees, we have those letters, VAR. So there's a special VAR course. How does that all work? What happens when it comes to VAR? Obviously, you don't use it day in, day out at a normal job, do you? But
no.
Presumably you have to be aware of it.
Yeah, so at the moment, VAR is primarily just used in some Women's Super League games, in the women's pathway. And then depending how big the club is in the men's, you sometimes see it in League One, Championship, and all Premier League clubs have it. I know a few people that work within VAR, and it's difficult. It's difficult because it's there for a reason, to back up decisions. But if if you can't see it within the human eye, you've got to slow it down. It leads to really high levels of controversy, which isn't ideal.
And you keep fit as well, because one of the things I notice whenever I'm at a football match is whether you're running the line or you're the ref, there's a lot of running.
Yeah, when I'm refereeing, I normally cover about 12 to 15 kilometres.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Because actually, producer Sophie, she wants us to train up and run about that sort of length. So become a football referee and you'll run that every game?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
and then... I didn't realise it was so much.
Yeah, and on the line, you generally cover about 6 to 9 kilometres, depending what type of game you've got.
Wow. You have to have eyes everywhere with the referee. You know, who's got the flag up all over there? That's the other thing.
Yeah.
How you do that, I don't know.
Yeah, no, because obviously you've got to be the fittest person on that pitch, because players, they can pass the ball from defence up to attack, but I've got to run that. I've got to make sure I get to that. I need to make sure I'm in the most credible position so I can call that decision. So I know if that's a foul, I know if there's contact, if it's a penalty or no penalty. You can't always rely off of your assistants either end of the pitch to dig you out.
When's your next game?
So I haven't got any games at the moment. Okay. No, so it's pre-season, so training. I've got a few camps coming up, so I've got PGMOL selection, and then I've got another camp, and then hopefully sort of middle of August start having my games back through. So
wow, the best of luck. I'm sure. I look forward to seeing you at the World Cup anyway.
Yes.
And I go. I spoke to Immy. She's there. Immy, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Referee for the future is Immy from Didcot, and wow, what a gig. Here's Witney.
That was brilliant. Honestly,
that,
I have to say, that's not even really